so I feel like I understand this. But to tell you the truth, I really learned what I've learned about harmony primarily from jazz music.
And people, members of your Uberjam project, are really open-minded, and they explore music. They are able to transcend through different genres. Is it a condition for working with you, open-mindedness to all the and openness to all these different kinds of music?
They just have to like the kind of music I like. You know, I think we should all be open to music. We love music, right? You know, so maybe you don't like this kind of music and somebody else likes that more than you like it. But if you like music, you're always listening for something that's interesting, and you try not to be closed-minded, because that's going to hurt you in the end. I think, you know, the more you know about music, you realize that each idiom, each genre, has great artists in it. There might be a kind of music you don't like, and you tell your friends, oh, I don't like that kind of music. But I tell you, somebody who plays that kind of music is going to be very impressive to you, whether it's country western music or maybe, I don't know, some kind of music you really don't like. There's one person playing that music who's so talented that you have, once you hear them, you have to change your mind a little bit. That's been my experience.
You just released your second record on your Uberjam project. Can you tell us something about the process of creating the record?
Can I say the second part?
About the record a little bit.
The record? Well, our new Uberjam album, CD, is called Uberjam 2, which is 2 in French, right? And it's not really the second Uberjam record, really, though, because we made Uberjam, and then the next year, that was 2002, and then 2004 we made we made a record called Up All Night with the same band. That was really the second one. Then this year, 10 years later, we put out Uberjam 2. So I kind of lied when I said it was the second record, but that makes no difference. The record is our group. I composed most of the songs with Avi Bortnick, and it's an extension of the first records we did, but 10 years later, and I think we've matured and hopefully gotten better. I think it's stronger, maybe it has stronger songs.
Why did you wait for 10 years?
Well, I have all these other groups that I like to play with too, and you know, some of the groups that have come to Sarajevo in previous years. So I have a lot of projects, and in a way I'm glad I waited, because it really made it very fresh, and we were so happy to play together again. I think the music is strong because we waited.
And can you tell us something about your other projects that you especially like?
Well, I got a lot of projects, because in the jazz business, when you play jazz festivals, every time they say, oh, we want to have John Scofield, but not with the same band from the last time. So, you know, it's actually, everybody in jazz now has a lot of different projects, so you can keep working. I'm sorry, that's why. But I have my trio with Steve Swallow and Bill Stewart. We've played together for more than 20-something years, and they're my favorite musicians, some of my favorite musicians. I love playing with them. That's more, we get to play some kind of standard jazz and also originals too. But, you know, that's very special to me. And I also have a trio with organist Larry Goldman, that's a different sound, you know, with the Hammond B3 organ. And I've done orchestral projects with a great composer named Mark Anthony Turnage in England. We did a record called Scorched with a symphony orchestra where he took my songs and arranged them for orchestra. And also I did a project with a great arranger, Vince Mendoza, who arranged a lot of my music for another orchestra in the Netherlands. So those were really different for me because I got to play with the symphony orchestra. Yeah.
We talked earlier about different traditional music. So your first Urjan record starts with this Indian music. So how did you get introduced to music from India?
Well, in the 60s, where, you know, in the kind of, I guess you would almost call it hippie music, psychedelic music, everybody started, and a lot of people in the United States started to listen to Indian music. And the most famous Indian musician was Ravi Shankar, who played sitar. But actually, everybody heard him, you know, and Indian music was kind of popular with college kids. And I was one of those kids, and I listened to ragas. And there's a very strong connection between jazz from the 60s, music of John Coltrane and Pharoah Sanders, and this kind of modal jazz, they call it, and Indian raga. So that's when I heard sitar. And, you know, you couldn't get away from it. The Beatles had sitar on their records, you know, and I'm no Indian music expert. I can't play Indian music, but as a guitar player, and I've bent strings for a long time. I use vibrato, and it's coming from blues music, you know, on the guitar. There's a real tradition. And it's really similar to what Indian musicians do with the beautiful kind of quarter tone sound that I think you have in Bosnian music too, you know? And because I hear it in Balkan music and in music I've heard from this part of Europe and from the Middle East as well.
So, from the point where you started to release your own record in 1977 until today, how did your creating process change? How did your creating, creating process or process
How
of
did my
creating
creative
music
process
change?
I'm not sure if it changed. I just try to play good, you know? And that's every day. You have to fight the instrument, right? The guitar is so hard to play, and you have to every day try and think about it. And you think about it, but then you also think, what am I going to play? And that's why I write music, is for something for our band to play. And I think, well, what are we going to do as a band that makes us special, that'll make us sound good, you know, make people listen to us? So then you have to write and arrange and steal and borrow and get whatever kind of music you can that's going to work well. And that's where creativity comes in, you know. You just have to work at it. I don't wait for the muse to come to me. I wake up in the morning and I say, okay, I got to get to work, man, because, you know, otherwise nobody's going to listen to our band, and then I'll have to give guitar lessons all the time. Right? Yeah. You know.
We have a few guitarists here. Do guitarists have a question?
Hi. I'm addicted to a great tone. I'm experimenting with my tone on guitar. And I want to hear something about your experience with your tone, gear, guitars, equipment, microphones that you use, and everything like that.
Okay, that's a good question for guitar players, because we always wonder what kind of guitar should we use, what kind of amp, what kind of pedals, how do you get your sound? And I also experiment all the time trying to find the right sound. But I know this one thing, it really comes from your fingers first. And that I can have my guitar, and I play it, and I get a certain sound, And if I give it to somebody else, they get a different sound from it. So much of what you hear when you hear any good musician is really the tone they generate with their hands, with their guitar player. And I think we're all looking for the right instrument to play, and there are a lot of good guitars out there, and I think you have to find a good guitar and then stay with it so that you can really use it. You know, I've played the same Ibanez guitar for more than 30 years, and I'm really used to it a lot.
And what about amps?
But wait, let me finish. But tonight I'm going to play a different guitar because I want to try something different. So there's this other kind of guitar, a Telecaster, that I like also, that I always had, and I brought that with me this time. And people hear me play that guitar and they say, it sounds just like when you play the Ibanez, you know. And amplifiers, you know, this is a very tricky thing because we play the guitar, usually we play at home with no amp, right? You just play and you hear the sound of the strings. And then when you plug into an amp, it sounds so loud, but it also sounds maybe not so good sometimes. So now I've found finally a kind of amp that I like, and they're very consistent. Each amplifier, and it's in a Vox AC30. Now when I go to play in concerts, I don't bring my amp. I have to have the venue provide me an amp, because you can't fly with a tube amp, really. It'll break it, you know? And the big time rock and roll groups, they have a big truck to bring their gear, you know? So like when the Rolling Stones go on tour, they have a boat come and pick up their amps beforehand, and then goes to Europe, and then they drive the amps everywhere, and they have 10 people to carry each piece of equipment, you know. We're not like that in jazz. I have my one guitar and my foot pedals, and every venue gets me a Vox AC30 amp, and luckily they're made in England for many years, so it's not so far from Sarajevo, you know. And I hope it works right.
Yes, I have a question. What do you think about the genres of music? Do you think that people care too much about genres and try to put some certain music under certain name? And have you ever had troubles to say with this, or do you have a problem with that?
You mean people that call certain music certain things, yeah?
Yeah.
Like what? I don't understand.
The thing
give me an example.
Yeah, there is an example. I was on a concert of Nicholas Payton last week.
Yeah.
And he has this kind of a movement, or I mean, it's not movement, but more what he thinks, this BAM, Black American music. And he kind of has a problem with racism and stuff. And you know, the arguments that were on the internet about jazz is dead since '59, and that white people stole jazz from black people.
Well, okay.
Thank you.
If I played some Serbian music, no, wait, I'm sorry. If I played Bosnian music, is that okay? If I played Bosnian music, how would you feel?
Amazing.
You don't even think about it, right? I mean, I think that first of all, it's okay for me to learn to speak French. I think that this is a very, very sensitive topic, and we in America have this terrible history of slavery, you know, and racism, and so people are very sensitive, you know, and maybe Nicholas doesn't like the word jazz, and maybe it's a racist word, you know, I don't know. I think that white culture in America owes so much to black culture. And black culture in America is very related to white culture. We all live together, but it's not so different from what you have here in Sarajevo, to me, you know, because this is a mixed culture as well. It's very interesting and very sensitive, as you know. And I think the great thing about music is that it's in the air, you know, it's sound, it's art form. Everybody, every human being can play music, you know. So as far as stealing music, I steal music every day. I steal as much music as I can. I steal it and steal it and steal it until it's mine. And you can't have it because it's mine, but you can steal it from me too, by the way. You know, so, you know, I gotta steal music all the time, yeah. And that's what my friends do. That's what jazz is, we steal, you know. Because when we improvise, you gotta say, what are you gonna play? You gotta steal something so you'll have something to play, yeah. But, you know, I tell you one thing, music exists in its own space. It's sound, and we can talk about it all we want, but music is music, and music describes itself the best way, especially instrumental music, you know, that doesn't have any words. What are we going to say about that? You know, we're going to practice. That's what I want to do, is practice hard, steal some more music. Keep stealing until I drop, yeah.
From who or from where you like to steal the most?
I steal from jazz music, yeah. But I steal whatever I can that sounds good. I love melody, I love rhythm, I love chords, and I've stolen music from many, many different places. But mostly I steal it from my friends. You know, I like to steal it from the musicians I'm playing with. And the great thing about jazz is we get to play night after night with the musicians, so you hear their approach to the music, and you can take a little bit from them. Like when I play a song with a band, you know, we play it 100 times, and I take my solo, and the other guy takes his solo, and I can really learn what they're playing, and that's how I've learned. And I listen to records, mostly jazz records, and I'll hear a song that I know, you know, they'll be playing a blues, you know, and I'll hear, oh man, that's what he played on the 5th measure, and I'll try and get my guitar out and play something like that. That's what I do. That's what we all do, right? Yeah.
Do we have more questions? Okay.
Hi, I'm a big fan of you, and can you tell about your experience with Miles Davis? And when I look historically in jazz, there's so many good, great musicians who have played with Miles, and later on he made very great careers. And can you tell what is so special with Miles and your experience?
Well, Miles was very famous and a real pioneer. You know, he started different kinds of music that other people stole, and he stole it from other people too. He was good at stealing music, I think. Pretty famous for that. But you know, he was a fantastic personality too. When I got to know him as a human being, you know, he was a really entertaining person. And mainly when I played with him, I was in awe of him. You know, he had always been my favorite. He was my idol. And when I was lucky enough to get recommended to play in his band, and I did for 3 years and played on recordings and concerts with him. I was really in his band, which was a full-time job for 3 years. And, you know, it was just the greatest experience because I'm a jazz fan first, you know, and I always wanted to, maybe if I could play guitar like Miles played trumpet, I would be happy, you know. What's so special about him? He played so great. The music, that's what's so special about him.
And I'm also interested in the creation process with him.
Creative process?
Yeah. In which way he worked with musicians and made that music so special, and because I heard that he always wanted to take something authentic from his guitarist and bass player and drummer. And can you
Well,
tell
you
about
know,
it?
I don't know, it's funny, when you listen to somebody play, some people will move you, you know, with what they play, and other people, when you hear them, you think, I don't know, it sounds this way or that way. And you don't like it so much because you think they're taking this or that, they're doing it wrong for you. But then when somebody does it right for you, what is that? And, excuse me, with Miles, we really talked about that a lot, you know, what makes this guy sound so good and this other person, you know. And it wasn't just Miles, it was all the musicians I know that love music so much. We talk about this all the time. What is it that makes it so good, you know? And I know you all talk about it too. You know, with Miles, he really appreciated spontaneity. And that's something from jazz, you know, to really in the moment. You know, it's like sometimes when you think of something and you say it, it comes out, you don't even know you're doing it, but it comes out and it makes an impression. And you hear other people do that when they think of something and they say it, and it's an idea. Well, this is the way it is with musical improvisation, you know? You may think of an idea that you've had a million times, but if you think of it that moment and it comes out, that's fresh. But if you think of it 5 minutes before, like, I'm going to play this, then it's not quite the same. So this is this sort of creative process that Miles talked about a lot. And we also talked about being a really good musician, you know, somebody who was beautiful sound, somebody whose rhythm was perfect, you know.
Thank you so much. And I would ask one more question about you now mentioned that moment when you think about it and that just came out of you. How to make that moment normal?
Well,
we have
you gotta
technique.
practice.
All musicians
Practice improvising. You got to practice improvising. You can do it by yourself at home. I'm doing it right now when I'm talking to you. I'm saying an idea that I'm thinking of, but sometimes I don't have an idea, so then I'm just kind of saying some words. Like right now, I don't really have an idea. I'm just talking. But, you know, I mean, you're still listening. In a minute, you'll stop listening if I don't say something that makes sense. But hopefully I'll come up with a good idea. Nothing yet, but help me out here. That's improvising.
Obviously, you don't believe in inspiration.